You know what I'll try now? I'll try to attend and then you try and make me the organizer.
Shall I put the broadcast or what should I do?
No, not yet, not yet.
But he said attendees cannot join until you broadcast.
Oh, really? Then broadcast and then mute.
A10 Networks is a security company, and we have multiple products I would love to talk to you about today. The first product I want to highlight and go through it is DDoS attack mitigation solution, where A10 call it TPS, Threat Protection System. So please take a note of all your questions. I will not go into very deep technical. I'm just going to give you highlight about the product. And please, if you have any concern, there will be time at the end of this presentation for any question that I would like to take an answer. So we all know about the threats that's going very high day after day, especially in DDoS attacks. And DDoS attacks is multi-layer protection. When I say about multi-layer protection, I'm talking about from service provider level, cloud level, and enterprise level. The second thing is, when I talk about multi-layers, is about the attack itself. The attack nowadays does not target your service, does not attack your network, does not attack even your security services. Actually, they attack everything. Resources attacks, services attacks, protocol attacks, application attacks. And as per the last reports we see in internet lately, we can see that the attack nowadays become multi-vector attack. And if your system does not capable to block and mitigate all of them simultaneously, we are in serious threats to make our security and our precious assets to be compromised by the attackers. And here where A10 comes to protect you. So going forward, I need to go through this. So A10 managed to manufacture the true multi-vector prevention solution that help you from multi-vector attack in the same time simultaneously without representing a slowness or a single point of failure or overhead into your network. In another way, the solution that A10 represents today in the market fits your deployment, fits your topology with a very flexible way. So let me jump into the logical diagram. One of our typical solutions, of course, A10 can run in multiple ways. We can be inline, we can be completely out of band, we can be proactive, we can be reactive. But this is one of the most famous deployment mode that you might face with all your market space, that most of the customers would like this typical scenario. And let me go through this. Please follow me in the traffic direction. Normally, your service is down there, internet represented by this cloud up there. When the traffic comes to your network, it comes through the orange line to routers, switches, directly to your servers. Now, in order to mitigate any threats or DDoS attacks comes to your enterprise, and I'm talking about any kind of enterprise, large, medium, or even ISP level, people now tend to protect it in this model, where they install the TPS Mitigator out of band. The problem is the TPS Mitigator is not in line. He cannot see the traffic ingress or egress. He does not have any kind of visibility. So A10 can have and operate in a detector mode at the same time. So typically, we sell two products to complete the solution. The first product will be the mitigator itself. But in order to make the mitigator capable to see, analyze, and mitigate the traffic, we need to have a detector. And I will tell you in some details why do we need detector as well. And the third device in the blue square is aGalaxy TPS. Now, let's talk briefly about it. Simply, you don't want your traffic or the network path to be changed, but you need to protect it. What we will do is we will install detector. The detector is going to have any kind of telemetry signals from your router, where the aggregated point where the internet traffic come to you, or the vice versa. Wherever you want to secure a zone, there is aggregation layer. This aggregation layer will be responsible somehow to give the TPS detectors an idea about the type and style of traffic. This could be a mirroring where you send me everything. But this represents high CPU usage and memory consumption on the core network. So if you face any problem in this, no need, because we are able to receive SFLU, NetFLU, JFlu from your routers or your switches, where you give me sample of the traffic passes through your network. A10 TPS detector will be able to make an idea about the type of the traffic that passes through, starting from TCP, UDP, ICMP, all layer 3, layer 4 traffic, up to application layer represented by HTTP, DNS, SSL, whatever. And in the beginning, we operated in learning mode. Of course, everything I say is an optional. I'm just talking about the typical deployment, but everything is configurable at your wish. So A10 will have these feeds, comes from your network, will have an idea what's going on, and whenever he finds any problem, he will signal, no, I'm sorry for this. He's not a manager. He's not intelligent. He just learn the traffic and send a report to the aGalaxy. aGalaxy here is the control. aGalaxy can see the detector and the mitigator. And whenever aGalaxy see anything, aGalaxy through API calls will trigger the aGalaxy. Tell him, please, we can see what might be represented as an attack. Automatically, without any intervention, aGalaxy will notice this and will create automated instance. And we'll see who's gonna mitigate this network, because you might have multiple detectors and you might have multiple TPS's mitigators, and every detector mitigator as a couple work in different segments. So aGalaxy will have visibility for all your detectors and mitigators, and he will understand where and which device should take action to mitigate this attack. So automatically instant creation, and you will have one console that can review all the detectors and mitigators in your network. You have full visibility, and you can run any kind of analytics even. And whenever the aGalaxy see a threat need to be mitigated, he will instruct the configuration needed, the template needed, the zone needed to be created in the mitigator in order to mitigate the traffic. Now the question comes here. If we said in the beginning that TPS mitigator is not in line and the traffic does not pass through it, how come the TPS mitigator will mitigate the traffic? This is a good question. When TPS detects something abnormal happening, and he reflect this and trigger the TPS to take action, Galaxy ATPS, and aGalaxy trigger the mitigator on return will respond to this by injecting a route into the pass. He will tell your router, listen, I can see this kind of destination IPs represent this sort of services is under attack. Please send this traffic to me instead of the default path. Of course, this needs to be integration, and they need to be configured with the core network team in this enterprise. Now, a second, I have a message here I want to check. Okay, hold a second, please. Sorry for disturbance. There was side talks. I tried to calm them down. So this is how the traffic flow goes. Now, A10 TPS mitigator only take the traffic that really need to be mitigated by injecting the default route, by injecting a BGP route or by any other name to their network, and only this traffic now comes to the TPS mitigators. What about the rest of the traffic? Nothing being changed. What about cloud? What about the attack that comes to your network and the TPS detected the attack and mitigator tried hard to stop this attack, but eventually the attack was very, very huge from volume perspective, from bandwidth perspective, that makes the pipe between your router and internet fully occupied by the traffic, and there is no window for real or legitimate traffic. In this case, even though the TPS mitigator can drop and block and protect your network, but your pipe to the internet is fully occupied and your service still down. In this case, A10 TPS will understand this, and he have our own way that we will cover during the next following slides. How can he trigger the cloud on internet or in ISP to mitigate the traffic before it comes to your network? which we call it clean pipe methodologies. Go. Okay, I need to press here. So this is our solution. Typically, we have 3 devices, 3 components, 3 elements. This elements does not need to be 3 devices. We will talk about it, but we need to understand there is 3 major functions need to be performed. The first one is detector, who is responsible to receive the telemetry comes from your network, to do some analysis, learning mode, and whenever he finds something not normal, he will trigger the aGalaxy. aGalaxy now is the main controller. So if you have this solution, you don't need to log into your TPS or mitigators. You just need to connect to your aGalaxy TPS, and everything will be managed and controlled remotely. aGalaxy TPS immediately will understand there is a problem, and he will tell you what you need to do, and he will configure the TPS mitigator, and you will see the effect of this on the network graphs. Plus reporting, so you can understand, you can go back to the history, what instance had been created, instance had been removed, closed, the duration and the type of the attack, graphical and in data. And you can export this report in every way. So what if you don't want, or for some other reason, the customer is really confident about another detector vendor? So there is FluTrack, Kintic, Flumon, Genie Networks, that A10 Networks do the job for you. We already have a partnership. Apologies. We already did a partnership with all these vendors for you. If the customer have them already, or there is any specific feature the customer looking for in any of these vendors, A10 already have a technology partnership with all of them. So in another way, we can integrate with any detector in case you don't want a detector from A10 TPS. So that takes us in another level. When the attacks comes, what do you expect A10 gonna do? How can they will mitigate it? Simply, I don't want to make everything hard for all the customers. Maybe there is a small amount of users, one IP address who cause these attacks. I don't want all of them to be suffered. So A10, what it does literally, it divided the security rules into levels. We do have 5 levels of mitigation rules. The first level is peacetime. It might be some countermeasures, maybe some normal checkups, like how many TCP connections I got, how many UDP connections I got. I don't block anything. I just see what's going on the mitigator level. Based on this, A10 would be able to build a table that tells him what kind of traffic access what kind of services at what time. If we find that, yes, now there is one single user need to be inspected. In this case, we will escalate only this user to level 1. In level 1, we might add some countermeasures, or we can make TCP authentication, HTTP authentication, or we can start to drop. Some other scenarios, we don't need to drop so fast. Just try to sanitize. Just try to clear the traffic. So let's have another escalation to level 2, where you have a more tightened policies. It's up to you. It gives you full flexibility to escalate the level of mitigations onward, as long as the attack's still going on. So in level 4, there is final countermeasures. For example, in my own perspective, if I pass through level 0, level 1, level 2, and I cannot mitigate this attack completely in a way I want, I will go to level 4, which simply trigger the cloud. I cannot. It's very huge volume of attack, and the customer now complains, and all other legal traffic is being dropped or blocked, although they are legitimate traffic. So in this case, I can make the calling the cloud in level 4, or I can make it a layer 3, as you want. The good thing is, I didn't make all the clients suffers. I just make the one who need to be inspected, which I expect the attacks came from him to be inspected. That's also give us an idea that if you try to make the inline deployment mode, you will not make anyone suffer. The reason is you can control the amount of mitigation and the process in a very controlled way. So if you put A10 TPS in line, that will not represent a slowness, that will not represent a hop in your network. It can operate in any deployment mode. And the policy that you can apply is completely escalatable and de-escalatable as well. So we can escalate only one source who represent an attack, or we can escalate any sources code to this specific destination IP, which is under attack. Or we can combine both of them. Only this user, if he talked to this destination, escalate this kind of sessions to be exposed to more tightened policies. Does A10 has this scalability, has this performance, has this time response manner that makes you confident to put it in line or even in any typical solutions? The answer is yes. A10 announced the highest throughput TPS technology in the market. This was in Q2, end of June. We announced the 14,000 series support up to 300 gigabit per second. And the amount of concurrent connections, I'm not recalling it, but it was millions above any competitor in this field. The second question, what about cloud or virtualization or on-prem VMware or KVM? Where can I apply this? Actually, every single component we talked about, it could be hardware or it could be on cloud. In cloud, I mean on your on-prem cloud even. If you have any hypervisor engine, you can run our TPS, our aGalaxy, and even our detector, completely managed by cloud. So this is simply a dashboard showing you the kind of reports you're going to see. So this simply say when the incident is created. If you see in the graph, in the picture, top left, you can see 25 protected zone, 65 protected destinations. This is what you actually configured. And when attack created, you can see immediately that is attack created in red and the amount of traffic passed in green. So it will give you an idea what's going on. The thing is, it's fully customizable and fully exportable and self-explanatory, so you don't need much help. So if you want to report a manager or you have some supervisors that you don't really concern about the technical issues, you just want to see what's going on, you can simply tell him, this is your dashboard. This is where you can see. Even if you have clients that you sell them this service, TPS as a service, they can even actually look into the system and see what's going on for their own traffic. This is even historical and can be kept in the box. Of course, there is limitation based on the hard disk and the capacity of the device to keep the history archived internally, but still we can send syslog or we can send reports to wherever SIM solution or any external system to store it for longer time if needed. Another way of how the incident created, by the way. So you can see here that this protocol HTTP 80 is under attack, and this is the IP address is attacking us, and what is the status of it? And you can change it at any time. I would like to say that every single thing you hear about is license free. So you own the device and you own the technology from day one. Second thing, every single thing that's been mentioned during my last few minutes, is fully customizable and configurable. So you can't just, don't tell me levels. I want to make all my mitigation templates a level 0 immediately in effect. Or you can tell me, I don't need aGalaxy. I need everything to be detector talk immediately to mitigators. I don't have to have aGalaxy. You can do this, but of course, the typical scenarios which I had been represented to you, detector, aGalaxy, and mitigators. The last point I would say is the aGalaxy and the detector could be combined in the same single solution. So you don't need to have multiple elements in installation in your network, just one virtual machine or one hardware appliance will run as a detector and aGalaxy in the same time. And whenever there is an attack happened, you might have multiple mitigators configured in the multiple segments in your network, and the mitigators will take instructions from the aGalaxy in the proper time. This is kind of aGalaxy reporting where I'm going to skip it to the next. Oh, this is very good slide. Good that I catch it as well. So this tells you how A10 can even protect you on the VeriSign or on the cloud. Again, if A10 able to mitigate the attacks comes to you, we are all happy. But sometimes wherever he block, however he block, still the attacks huge and he kill your pipe. We have some customers who told me, listen, I only have 50 meg internet link from my ISP providers, which is smallest attack comes to me, kill my pipe. I'm happy that you can block it, not to go internally in my network, but I'm still down. The internet pipe is fully occupied by this attack. And this time, A10 TPS will call the VeriSign. Let's talk a little bit about it, just 30 seconds or 1 minute. How A10 will trigger the cloud? We don't need to do BGP, although we can. We don't need to do any kind of long kind of integrations. A10 and VeriSign is already a partnership. And what we can do is simply, we can have an API script loaded in the TPS Mitigator. And whenever the traffic or the attack reaches the level that you need intervention from the cloud, simply configure this API call under this level. Once the escalation or the traffic being escalated to reach this level, the API script will immediately call the VeriSign. What VeriSign gonna do? VeriSign already had to be in a kind of agreement and integration with your network. So he can manage your IP as a right, and he will tell the internet, if you want to reach this IP address, which is your public IP address, he will inject this route into the internet. And all the traffic from all over the world through internet will go to VeriSign cloud to be mitigated and they redirected to you. This is how we do it. Moreover, A10 it's optional again to have a thread stop integrations, which is part of A10. It's not something comes with at any extra cost. It comes bundled. Thread stop integration is, we do this integration with some huge cloud company that have a lot of million of spots in the network that can do analysis, and they build their own databases about what's going on, who's the bad actors, who the honeypots, who is the malware list. Sometimes you get attack from malware, and if you don't have ATP solution, the malware will stay resident in your network. A10 TPS is not the proper technology assigned to mitigate your malware. But what we can do, if we have integration with ThreadStop, we are aware about the callback servers. So whenever the malware become active and try to call back the server on internet to tell him whatever secrets in your network, A10 TPS will block it because we know that this destination IP actually is a bad actor. So it's just an automated, updated lists of IPs and domains comes from the cloud to your own TPS Mitigator on premises that give him this list about bad IPs on internet, honeypots, bad actors, or even if there is attacks come from, let's say, country X. If the country X generated an attack right now, A10 will understand this from the threat stop, and you might be able to disable any traffic comes from this country, which called X, immediately. So this comes bundled with any A10 TPS deal or investment you're gonna help your customers with. Now, I'm going to talk about complete different technology that A10 produced nowadays. The reason it's a white page, just to wipe your brain off, focus with me now. I'm going to give you 30 seconds silent mode, then I will take about SSL insights. Good. Now, SSL Insight Solution Overview. What is SSL Insight? Before I turn this slide, I would love to tell you that when you do have any encrypted communication from your host machine to any server, that means the server and your machine had agreed on some security aspects that they will use whenever they transfer any data. In another way, if you go to any HTTPS site, that means all HTTP application information had been encrypted, and no one on the path can see what's going on other than IP addresses and ports. But what is a URL? What is the length of your URL? What is the content of the page? What are you posting on the HTTP? What are you getting from this HTTP is completely invisible. So what we are going to talk about here is how to give your network visibility, insight of what's going on when you are talking over encrypted sockets. So simply, if you have a service, let's talk about banking, you will never, ever, ever reach your bank without HTTPS. Simply, the bank will not have a license to publish the service on internet unless he is certified by the organizations in the country and globally. In order to obtain this certificate to provide e-banking services for his client, he must have SSL to encrypt all the communication all the way between the server and the client. And guess what? If the attacker really wants to hurt you, he will hide all his attacks encrypted into this tunnel. So you have firewalls, I love it. If you have IPS, wonderful. If you do have malware, it's great. But they're gonna not be able to see anything in the communication from the client to your server. The only one who can see this real traffic is the server itself, which will not make us happy, because if there is an attack happen, server will decrypt the traffic and he will find a boom. Attack. We need to protect the service, not to be blind and to make the service and have the surprise. So A10 will be in the middle between the client and the internet. What we will do is A10 will decrypt the traffic from the client and will associate SSL between A10 and the client. Nothing with your services. And when the client sends the communication to A10, A10 will be able to decrypt this traffic and send it as a clear and clean text to the security firm. Security firm where I don't care what is this, whatever, name it. I will send this as a clear text. Now they have full visibility of what's going on with this traffic. Afterwards, you are fine. You send it back to A10 outside device, who on return will decrypt the traffic again and send it to the final destination. Sorry, will encrypt the traffic again and send it to the final destination. What we did is, we did give you full visibility of the security firm that you already invested a lot of money and effort and people to run it. A10 give it to you the way, the ultimate way to take full usable of your investment you already invested. I'm not going as an A10 technology, again, fully customizable, flexible, support any kind of deployment mode, starting from fully transparent or rigid networking, even to layer 3, to be a hub in the network. Even though A10 support complete secure web gateway. The reason for this, if I can decrypt the traffic, I can bypass some traffic, and I can choose certain domains to intercept the traffic. So A10 has integration with URL category database on internet, where we can be updated with all kinds of domains, which contains more than 200 million domains, as I remember. And you can simply select which domains you want to intercept, which domains you want to bypass. After this, A10 can be a secure web gateway. So you can tell me, block this kind of websites, or this websites, or this domains, send them to the cache engine, or send them to this kind of security solutions. So we can do proxy chaining, service chaining, explicit proxy, secure web gateway, which give you complete control of what's going on in your network, because mainly A10 came from application delivery controllers. So here is a good example in front of our eyes. If I do have secure web gateway external, not from A10, or let's say I do have 4 firewalls. The traffic comes from this tiny building right there, came to the internal device, decrypted the traffic. Now, where do you want me to send this traffic? To which firewall or which secure web gateway? Because A10 is native application delivery controller, he can do it either by load distribution or by service chaining or by traffic steering or any flavor you would love to. On return, we are not going to enforce your security firm to do anything abnormal or they don't choose to do. For example, the firewall or secure web gateway or the IPSs can change anything in the packet. Let's say, change the source IP for NATing reasons, or they need to change the source MAC address for any reason. A10 doesn't look at it. A10 is fully customizable and can mark the traffic by every single main, up to set some headers in the HTTP, where we can identify which packet we did decrypt. So which packet we need to re-encrypt. A10 gives your network security devices and elements full flexibility to operate in the same way and give your network and security engineers full flexibility to deploy our solution. Also, if you have antivirus and DLP, this is a very important point because they have specific requirements. Antivirus and DLP is not installed in line. So the way they see the traffic is using a protocol called ICAP protocol. So if I decrypted the traffic by A10, I don't need any help from any network elements to send ICAP packets to your antivirus or DLP because A10 itself can give you this visibility. And we support ICAP version 1 and ICAP version 2. In the same time, if you have any solution as a logging solution or forensic analysis solution or any archiving system, A10 can send a mirroring, tab, SFLU, syslog to the solution where you can have full visibility to what happened in your network. And you can go back to whatever you want back into visibility. I mean, 30 days, 6 months, whatever the size of your solution had got. Again, we talked, you see, it's not 200 million domains, it's 600 million plus domains. This is a URL classification or URL categorization integration that A10 achieved for you. Again, every single thing we talk about so far is license-free. The only thing need license is the URL categorization. In order to maintain your database, you need to have a valid license. Once you log in and configure your license, the database had been downloaded to your native device on your hard disk. You don't need to keep communicating with URL category. But whenever you have a valid license, any update will be pushed away to your network or your SSLI device. If you're done with your license and you don't need to do it anymore, you own the database that you owned, but it will not be maintained, updated, forward on. At the same time, we give you full flexibility. If you don't even need to do URL classification from the cloud, you can configure whatever domains you need. It's very easy to pull it and type it one by one or do it in Excel sheet in a proper way and import your Excel sheet with all domains and IP addresses. You might see it's not useful, but you're completely wrong. It's very important to have some URL classification either from cloud or even built in. The reason is you're going to intercept the traffic. You don't do it to spy on your clients. You do it to secure them, right? In this case, we don't need to know the banking or the financial situation for your customers or your employers. You just need to bypass any banking or financial sectors. That's what URL classification does. You just click bypass financial domains. That means when your client goes to Facebook, he will be intercepted. If he goes to YouTube, he will be intercepted. But if he goes to his bank or for his health institution, in whatever it is, it will be bypassed. I would love to thank you so much for your time. I am done, and I'm open for any question if you have any.
Thank you very much, Hisham, for that. I hope everyone found that very interesting. Please let us know if you have any questions. We're just going to give you a short update about Ingram Micro, and yes, I'll answer any questions you have. Introducing Vikram, who will be doing the Ingram Micro update for you. Hi, Vikram.
Okay. I think I'm not hearing you properly. There is some echo in your voice. I really apologize for this. If you can repeat what you said.
So I'll be taking over now, just taking everyone through the general updates and activities. Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Hisham, for the wonderful presentation. If I could just go to the slides.
Shall I stop sharing? Okay, you did it yourself. Thank you.
All right, so hi everyone, this is Vikram and I'll be taking you through our activities and initiatives. Firstly, we're going to talk about the Ingram Micro Cloud and Security Summit. This is going to be taking place from the 19th to the 21st of November. And so the ticket will entitle you to 3 nights of stay at the Beach Rotana Hotel in Abu Dhabi, as well as full access to multiple keynote and breakout sessions from experts from both cloud and security domains. We usually sell the tickets for $200, but are selling it at a $150 discount, which allows you to purchase the ticket for just $50. Just go to http ingrammicrocloudsummit.me and use the discount code DIS150-CSS for a $150 discount now. Our second update is the announcement of the launch of the Ingram Micro Cyber Byte, which is our monthly cybersecurity newsletter. Please keep an eye out for it and check your junk mailbox if you have not received it yet. Make sure to whitelist the email to guarantee you receive your monthly cybersecurity insights delivered directly to your inbox. We are also pleased to announce the launch of our cybersecurity website, and you can access it at security.ingrammicro.com. Here you will have access to all the documents relevant to our security portfolio, as well as be able to book sessions with our consultants. And you will also have the ability to watch our previously made webinars. We are still enabling partners as to the various services and trainings we have on offer. Do get in touch with us if you would like to schedule such a session for yourself. We are also still offering the 2 free public discovery reports, which is a report that collects all publicly available information about your clients. All you have to do is let us know the name and physical location of the client, and we can make such a report for you. Again, it is a free of cost report, and please do get in touch with us if that is something that would interest you. Lastly, our cybersecurity trainer can conduct a foundational training on cybersecurity for your team. This training will touch on topics such as ransomware and phishing, and as well as basic do's and don'ts. That's all from my side. Let's just quickly look at our team structure here. All right, so we're just gonna take your questions now. If you have any questions, so Hisham, could you please address any of the questions that come?
With pleasure.
All right, so just as a reminder, you can ask any of your questions in the Q&A tab, and Hisham will be more than happy to assist you.
I think we're done. No questions so far. Is it a good sign?
Yeah, this is a very good sign. All right. So again, please do get in touch with us if you're interested in going ahead with A10. And if you have any questions, we can always take it offline. There's actually one question. Hisham?
Yeah, kindly, from Mustafa Badawi asked, kindly share some sizing material. I would love to. So please share with your email, your contact with Muawiyah. Please send it to me, Muawiyah, and I will do this, of course.
Sure. We'll get in touch with you, Mustafa, and you can we will take your contact details. Any other questions? We have a couple of minutes. All right. We thank you so much for attending this webinar. It was a pleasure having you here, and thank you, Hisham, for your time as well. We're going to be uploading this on our website, and we will share the link with you in a separate email, a follow-up email. So thank you so much once again, and hope to have you in our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.